Welcome back to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. Today we're looking at the final trio of Batman villains. But before we do that, roll those credits. Right, so as I said in the last video when I did the Penguin, I said once I'd done the Penguin and the Joker, I thought it was only natural really to follow it with the Riddler. Now, I searched around for Riddler files and the only place I could find a decent one, I found two. One was a bit sort of random to the point where I didn't really like it. This one, obviously, is Jim Carrey. The only place I could find this anywhere was on Etsy. So that's where I got it from. The model itself, I really like. It was quite fun to paint. Question marks got boring really quick. What I did do on this, though, is I tried a different skin tone. A different method of skin tone compared to what I usually do. And I like it, but I feel like it's too dark. It's a very blended really well. I feel like it's sort of almost coming to almost sort of mixed race. Looking back on it, Jim Carrey's really quite pow in this film. He is anyway. I feel like if I just worked on this a little bit more, it would come out really well as a dark skin tone. I didn't bother changing it once I'd done it, because every model's a bit of a learning process, and for future reference, this is what I'll look at. It's just because it's not perfect doesn't mean you shouldn't finish the model. Obviously the head was separate. I painted the head, and I looked at it, I was like, it is too dark, but I will use it because for me it is a point of reference. When I come to do a different skin tone, if the skin tone I want to do is very similar to that, it's a point of reference for me. I like the model anyway, so sitting next to the Penguin and the Joker actually looks really quite good. So what we'll do now is I'll do a quick close-up and 360 for you so you can see it in more detail. Right, so wood, I actually really like painting wood, especially sort of old wood like this. I like doing it. What I've started doing now is I've bought some, you know, like the Blackest Black. The one I've got is Blackest Black 3.0, I think it is. I'm now doing a lot of my bases in this because this part of the base was around the bottom serves no purpose. It's got no detail. If you do this a colour, gold or something like that, it detracts from what you're supposed to be looking at. So what I'm doing now is I'm using this Blackest Black to do my bases, and your eye instantly draws away from that and looks at the detail you're supposed to be looking at. So from now on, that's the way I'm going to be going moving forward. Now, this printed a fair few pieces actually. The base and the wood was one piece. This bit of wood on the front here, that was a separate piece. I don't know why, but it was. All of the tellies are separate. The little antenna is separate. He's actually in quite a few parts. It was his legs, his feet, his torso, his hands, his head, the hat and the staff. It was made up of a lot of pieces, which to a certain degree makes painting easier because you don't have to worry about overspray when you're doing, or if you do like me, you do your base coats with an airbrush or your skin tones with an airbrush. You don't have to worry about masking or overspray. You paint the parts separately, put them together. What I have noticed is Wicked have started doing is when you get the files, they break their files up like this in multiple pieces, like the arms are separate, stuff like that. But you can also print the file in like 2 pieces, 3 pieces, which is they do all the legs and feet as one, all the torso as one, and then just the head. What it does do is it eliminates join lines and having to repair join lines if it doesn't fit quite perfect. The head generally always goes on fine, and the way a lot of places now, especially like Wicked, they tend to hide the waist join line inside, say, the shorts or part of the uniform, so that there isn't actually a join line now. When you do that, you get a perfect seamless model with no joins. You know, it's perfect. Doing it this way can also really work well if they also hide the join lines. So on this one, the arm was separate. It's almost perfect. It's not quite. But the hands socket into the sleeves. The legs socket up into the waist, so you hide that. And the legs also socket into the shoes, so you hide them join lines. The only one that really showed up a bit was the arms, like the shoulder joint. As I've said previously, I'm really mixing up my paints, the way I paint now. The way I had my paint set up was on sort of like paint shelving. But I had so many on now that there was 2 or 3 rows of them, but I could only see the front row. And what was behind it didn't necessarily always get used. I had paints in drawers, which, because I couldn't see them, I wasn't using them. And also I've got a lot of paint sets, but they was up on a shelf, and because I couldn't reach them, I didn't always use them. I had the ones I use all the time, like my skin tone and the like different sets like that. But the other sets I've got, didn't always use them. What I've actually done is I've actually bought a toolbox. So one of the rolling ones, which has got a base unit and a toolbox on the top. I've took all of my paints, apart from my Citadel paints, which are all on Citadel racks that arch around my desk, and they're right in front of me. I can see them, I use them all the time. But all of my Vallejo, Green Stuff Weld, Scale 75, all of that sort of stuff, I've transferred into all the drawers on this toolbox. All of my sets of paints I've put in the bottom 2 drawers. So what happens is I've now moved this toolbox to the side of me while I'm painting, and I just open the drawer and say the first drawer is all blues and purples. I can see every blue and purple I've got. Next drawer is like reds and greens. I can see all of the reds and greens I've got. And if I want sets, as I open the bottom drawers, the names of each set are looking at me. It's easy for me to open it and say, oh, I could use that colour there out of that set. So it has been a perfect way for doing it. What I do really want is a Games Workshop Citadel floor standing paint rack. So if anybody has one or can get me one, I will buy it. There was one came up a little while ago on Marketplace. I missed it and missed out on it. I don't want the shelving rack that they put the models on. I want the paint rack. I really want one. If you can get me one, I'll be eternally grateful. Anyway, back to this model, because I've just been going off on a tangent. Yeah, It's a pretty cool model. It looks a lot like Jim Carrey. It looks really good next to my Penguin and my Joker. I was going to do a Bane, but I don't think I'm going to. A lot of the Banes are all really sort of comic book, and it doesn't really fit in with the other three I've done. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it quits there. I don't do a lot of comic book stuff, and I've done 3 on the. You say comic book slash, you know, film stuff, DC stuff. I've done 3 on the trot there, so I think I'm going to call that quits with Batman. I haven't done a Batman because I find Batman incredibly boring. I couldn't think of a more boring paint job than painting Batman. So you're not going to see that from me on this channel. Boring. So don't forget to like and subscribe. It's free, you know. You'll get endless amounts of great stuff if you subscribe, and if you click the notification bell, you'll see whenever we release a new video. So, you know, it's all good on your part, and it does us a massive favour. So, with that being said, we'll see you on the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.